Deputy Pringle arises out of committee proceedings.
Thank you, Cathaoirleach. I'll first of all speak on behalf of Thomas Pringle, and the point he makes is that he wants to inserted the sum of the difference between €135 and €140 will only be paid to those already in receipt of social assistance or social insurance payment. Now, his idea is that he says, is to try and target the increase at those most in need of an increase. It retains the universality of the payment by not cutting it to the better off, but by ensuring that the increase goes to those in receipt of a social welfare payment. It means that those in most need will get the increase. If the government accepted the amendment, it would also mean that in the future increases could be targeted, which is in line with most of the social justice groups. It would not be administratively difficult because all of those people would already be known to the department by either having a primary payment or else being a dependent adult or on their parents' payment. The only possible difficulty would be the family income support, and that would simply require the person to identify who is claiming the child benefit through their PPS number. I suppose, just to add that I think the idea of paying every woman the children's allowance is not such a bad one, because generally speaking doing it otherwise does have huge administrative costs, and I would agree that the best form of taxation is direct taxation, and I think those if giving the child benefit to everybody, provided that those who can best afford to pay do so through direct taxation, I think is the best model. But on that point, I just want to point out that the research done by Michael Taff of Task on the abolition of the universal social charge, I mean, he made the point that which is probably the most direct form of taxation we had, and he says it's probably the best. It was the best anti-avoidance tax that we had. The truly comfortable classes can drive a coach and four through income tax with all the reliefs, allowances and exemptions. But with the universal social charge, they can hire an army of accountants, but it won't do them much good. And the universal social charge attaches itself to gross wages with very few and mostly minor reliefs. And he went on to point out that over 500,000 people in Ireland earned less than 15,000. So, and the majority of them weren't paying universal social charge anyway. So the budget 2016 doesn't actually change anything for them. I do think it was given that he points out that the biggest beneficiaries were the top 20% households, and on average the top 20% households will get nearly twice the benefit as the squeezed middle. So I thought it was I would agree with him that it was probably a retrograde step in terms of the progressive nature of direct taxation. But with regard to go back to Thomas Pringle's amendment, I think it's given that we're not prepared if we're not going to increase direct taxation to those who are best off, then the idea that any increase in benefit around this would rather than give €5 to everybody, maybe we should look at how much we're prepared to, the state is prepared to spend on this measure, and give it all to those who most need it, who happen to be already in receipt of a social welfare payment. Okay, thank you.